So this came out of nowhere. New evidence presented in the Tory Lanez case, and Kelsey Harris's bodyguard has reportedly come forward claiming that Kelsey Harris was the one who shot Megan Thee Stallion and says he stayed silent to protect her until now. I think most people who followed this case kind of figured it was Kelsey. Um, the fact that she didn't even want to testify at that trial. And then when she did take the stand, she took the fifth. Even though they gave her immunity, she kept on pleading the fifth so she wouldn't incriminate herself. That said a lot. And plus her and Megan had fallen out. So this whole thing started messy because I guess Tory was with Kelsey and Megan were cool. They were friends. And then Kelsey had to go out of town. And then Megan hooked up with Tory. I thought there was some type of girl code. You don't mess with your girl's dude. And Tory, that's messy because you already with her friend. Like, the whole thing was messy. And then Tory went to that party with them. And then after that party, that's when all this stuff happened. But everything about that case, it was so circumstantial. Like, his DNA wasn't on the gun. Like, I think they said the DNA was unidentifiable. But I think he was the only person that they took DNA from. Might have been him and the driver, but I think it was just him. They didn't take any DNA from Megan. They didn't take any DNA from Kelsey at all. That whole thing when Megan said that Tory, when he shot at her, said dance. It's like what? What is this? Like Yosemite Sam? I said dance. That's like something out of Dolomite. Oh, you better dance, woman. Bang, bang. It made no sense to me. Who would say something like that? And then when Megan, after the fact, when Megan went to the doctor and they showed her foot, and the doctor was working on her foot, and it looked like there was stitches on her foot. Like, and I feel like if somebody shot you in the foot, you would have like shrapnel, holes in your feet, like maybe multiple surgeries. You would have your foot in a cast, or at least be in a wheelchair for at least a couple of weeks, right? Or stay immobilized. When I didn't see a cast on her foot, I was like, this doesn't seem right, because the real story was people felt like she stepped on glass, and that's how she cut her feet. Because I think the police told them to put their hands up or something like that and walk backwards. But I think when she did this, because this was a long time ago, I think she stepped on that glass. But she said, oh no, I got shot in my feet. But I just feel like if someone shoots you in your foot, and I've never been shot in the foot before, but I feel like if you got shot in your foot, wouldn't you have shrapnel? Wouldn't there be a hole in your foot? Wouldn't there be multiple surgeries? Wouldn't there be nerve damage, tendons? What does that do to your bones? I think actually Megan started twerking like a week or two after she got allegedly shot in the foot. And there was that whole interview with Gayle King. And Gayle asked her, did she sleep with Tory Lanez? And Megan was like, huh? But then she said no. And then like a few years later, she admitted that she actually slept with Tory Lanez. There was just everything about that case. Kelsey didn't want to testify. They couldn't find witnesses. There was like bodyguard. Maybe this was the bodyguard. There was a bodyguard that they was trying to get to testify. They couldn't find him. I don't know. So people are saying, well, why did this bodyguard now? Why did he step up now? Well, one, I think he was trying to protect Kelsey. If that's your client and you're her bodyguard, I guess you are trying to protect her. And he probably didn't want to see her go to jail for anything. But I think after Tory Lanez got stabbed 14 times. So if you don't know, Tory Lanez recently got stabbed 14 times. And maybe he had a conscience, and he said, no, this has gone too far. This has gone way too far. It's one thing he got locked up, but he got stabbed. He got stabbed by this older Latino dude. I think the guy was in his 40s. I think he's in prison for like second-degree murder. And I was like, what run-ins did these two have? Like, it almost feels like it was a hit. So Tory got stabbed 14 times, and he's in the hospital. He's fine, but he's not in great shape. So I'm figuring he's going to be in the hospital for a while. So maybe the bodyguard said, you know what, this has gone too far. So I'm not a lawyer. So if you're a lawyer, if you're a criminal lawyer, tell me what is the next step for Tory Lanez for his defense. Because I think his lawyer said they're going to try to get a pardon from either Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, or Donald Trump. I don't think Gavin Newsom wants to touch this at all. I don't think Gavin Newsom's gonna give Tory a pardon. But I do think he actually might have a better shot with Trump. Trump hasn't pardoned any. He hasn't got any rappers out of trouble in a while, and his approval ratings are awfully low. So he might actually get a pardon from Trump, but I don't know. Trump is doing some crazy stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, so most likely they'll probably petition. They get the case reopened, go to the judge, try to get it either thrown out, either get the case reopened, or overturn the conviction. Especially if this guy signs an affidavit and said, no, Kelsey actually shot Megan in the foot. And I do wonder what does this do to Megan and Kelsey? If this bodyguard testifies and it's, everything's on the up and up and it's legal and he's being honest. If it's proven to be true, I know Kelsey got immunity, but does this cover her if she actually did shoot at Megan? And the fact that she took the fifth, it wasn't like she lied on the stand. So she pled the fifth, so you can't say that she perjured herself because she took the fifth. When it comes to Megan, I can't remember, but I'm basically Megan said like Tory shot her in the foot. If that's proven to be false, can they go after Megan for perjury? I think I read something that's been kind of rare that people go to jail for perjury. So that's not cool. This whole thing just wasn't cool. And again, I'm not a Tory Lanez fan. Like, I don't know much about Tory Lanez. I knew he did some record company stuff that was interesting as far as like he did stuff independently. That was pretty cool. I think it was if NFTs, I think, back in the day when NFTs was hot, he made a lot of money from that with music and his album, something like that. But I can't name you a Tory Lanez song. I've heard the stuff, it's not all right. But listen, if this was like Jay-Z, Nas, or DMX, or Eminem, or Ye, or 50, yeah, I can tell you everything you would need to know about these guys. But I'm not sitting here as a Tory Lanez fan. I'm just some guy who was just watching the case from afar and said, man, this case is awfully circumstantial. Now, Tory Lanez didn't do himself any favors. He kind of went to the trial kind of arrogant, kind of cocky. But I guess he just figured like they can't send me that. There's no evidence. I didn't do anything. So he probably was he had a very John Gotti feel about him. It was like, they're not going to convict me. They don't have any evidence. But I guess Megan was pretty convincing on the stand. But nah, that brother doesn't belong in jail. So I know the Megan fans going to say, oh, you just hate Megan. I really don't hate Megan. I actually think Megan is actually a talented rapper. My only complaint about Megan has always been like, she's been twerking like forever. Like I know she can twerk. That's great. I just want to see the evolution of her as an entertainer. That's all I cared about. Because I think she actually got a really good flow. She's actually really good at picking songs. So I never had a problem with her. My own problem was her as an artist. I would like to see more growth from her as an artist. But outside of that, I don't hate her at all. But if you lie on somebody and somebody's spending 10 years in jail, if it was a lie, that's not cool. Now, Megan it's interesting. She has a line, a swimsuit line coming out. Hot Girl Summer. The Hot Girl swimsuit line is coming out to Walmart. And I think for this summer, it's fine. But let's say the Tory Lanez defense is able to get him out of jail. And we find out that Megan did lie, allegedly. I think she's going to start losing deals from people. Because people are going to look at this like, oh, man, you lied on that dude, allegedly. She might start losing deals if Tory Lanez ever gets out of jail. Now, if he never gets out of jail, Megan Thee Stallion still go to the Met Gala and have all these branding deals and live life like nothing happened. But if this bodyguard turns out to be truthful, that Kelsey actually shot Megan, both of those young ladies, they better lawyer up. Nothing might not happen to them, but something that definitely happened to Tory, and it's not cool.